Ohio State. I've been going on a little bit of a rant. So, basically break down my Saturday game day podcast. I'll go over basically the top 25 in general. I'll talk about each top key matchup, the conference overviews like I do in my normal podcast day to day. And I really will try to get into the key factors of each game more instead of an overview like I'll do in my podcasts, my Week 8, Week 9 review podcast, my Week 10 review podcast that's going to be coming next week after today. But on my Saturday game days, I will try to go more in depth, talk more in depth about the Heisman, storylines, coaching carousels, all types of stuff. I'll try to be a little bit more deeper on Saturdays. Also, I'm going to start wanting to try to do a live chat as well, so I can answer questions, talk to y'all, do all types of things. Try to have a little bit more fan interacting. I know I went on a rant for about 20 minutes. So, your top 10 really has a lot in stake. I already mentioned TCU. I've already mentioned Clemson, Tennessee. I've dived into Tennessee, Georgia a little bit. I talked about Alabama, LSU a little bit. I've mentioned Oregon a little bit. But I really want to dive into basically the first game that I consider very important. Ohio State's taking on Northwestern, and I don't think that's too big of a game, but this TCU Texas Tech game. I kind of dived into it earlier. There's a lot of big key moments. There's a lot of things at stake for this game. TCU loses, Big 12's out. But, I really want to talk about TCU's players. TCU, I just don't think Texas Tech will be able to keep their defense. Their defense ain't going to be able to keep TCU's offense from scoring. Matt Duggan has played some of the best football this year I've seen from any quarterback in college football. He's played extremely well. This guy is 22 touchdowns, two interceptions. Miller, their running back, is phenomenal. Their run game is going to be the biggest factor in this football game. Their run game has been extremely phenomenal. I don't think there's been a single team all season long to be able to contain this offensive run game. But Texas Tech, they're turnover prone, and when you have a defense who's not really good at stopping overall plays, offenses normally tend to get a lot of points versus TCU. That's TCU's biggest downside, is defensively they're not going to be the best defensive team in the entire country, but when it comes to getting quarterback pressures, they can get to them pretty consistently. They're pretty good at that. In some cases, they're good at that. Now, I'm not going to say that's the best part about them, but they are able to cause turnovers, fumbles, interceptions. They're good at doing that. And when you got a Texas Tech quarterback who could turn the ball over, he has a high interception rate. He has 8 interceptions on the season. Ball control is going to be a real big issue with a TCU team who I've seen is able to create turnovers. Texas Tech still might score a whole lot, but that turnover battle is going to be the biggest factor in this game. Matt Duggan hasn't turned the ball over a whole lot. Can Texas Tech get him to turn the ball over? Because if you can get a team to make mistakes and turn the ball over, it doesn't matter how bad your record is. You can win any game if you can create turnovers. But I just don't think TCU is going to be able to contain. My bad. I don't think Texas Tech is going to be able to contain TCU like that. They have had close games, bad games, all over the board. You know, they had an extremely close game with NC State or Houston. They dropped it. Then they got blown out by Baylor last week. The week prior, they beat the dog water out of Virginia. So you never really know what team you're going to get. But I do think if TCU is able to create turnovers, cause interceptions, there's no doubt about it. TCU is going to win that ball game. Anyways, now to the big hour, your 3:30 hour, or hold on, before your 3:30 hour, you have your lovely North Carolina team who has played extremely well all season long. Granted, their one loss to Notre Dame is very, very bad. But they've been able to win games, keep winning. Quarterback's playing phenomenal. I don't think you can ask much more of a freshman quarterback than what he's been able to produce. 2,700 yards, 29 touchdowns. I mean, come on, dude. You're not going to get any better than this guy right here. 71% completion rate on the season. He just played phenomenal. And basically, the only hope that Virginia has is their defense can shut down Drake May. And that's not going to happen. Drake May is going to shoot the lights out, and North Carolina is going to win that game. When you go down to your 3:30 slot, Illinois, they have not the greatest team, but they have a lot of heart. Illinois has a lot of heart. Chase Brown is the best quarterback in college football. Best running back in college football. And Michigan State's team is going to have to shut down Chase Brown in order to eliminate Illinois from their greatest weapon. If they can do that, then they can possibly win the game. Now, they also have to worry about Tommy DeVito. He has been he's had his bad games. He's had his share of bad games where he's shaken up, can't make the throw right, very inaccurate. He's had his games. The Indiana game, you could see, it was just not his game when they lost that one. But outside of that, he's played very good football. Played good football against Nebraska. He played good football against Wisconsin. He played good football against Minnesota. So, working on eliminating Chase Brown, honestly, is the biggest factor. Because it don't matter if DeVito goes for 400 yards. If Chase Brown's able to get out of contain and get downfield and gain 5 yards, 6 yards, 12 yards, 30 yards, 10 yards, 4 yards, eventually Chase Brown's going to wear you down to the point where you're not going to want to tackle him anymore. And you cannot allow him to do that. But with the way this Illinois team has been playing, the heart they've been putting on display defensively, offensively, I think Illinois basically has this one in the bag. I'm going to skip the Tennessee-Georgia game. I'm actually going to skip it for now. I'm going to go ahead and move down. I already talked about Oklahoma State, Kansas. And I've kind of mentioned Texas, Kansas State a little bit for the 7 o'clock hour. But at 7:30, you have Clemson, who's the number 4 team in the country, versus Notre Dame. And this one right here is honestly closer than what I think ESPN has them marked at. ESPN has them at 65% chance of winning over Notre Dame, and Notre Dame a 35% chance. And the thing of it is, you don't know what team you're getting. You don't know if you're getting the team that played Marshall, or if you're going to get the team that blew the shit out of Syracuse and beat North Carolina. You don't know what team you're getting. Now, if you get the team that lost to Marshall, Clemson has the win all day long. Will DJ be able to play good quarterback play? the world, who knows? You know, he had to be taken out the game. I didn't watch that game, the Syracuse-Clemson game. I was checking in on it and seeing that he was doing terrible. And then Cade got put in, and he wasn't doing so hot either. But I don't believe in DJ. I feel like he's going to get replaced in this Notre Dame game. I think Notre Dame has played a little bit better as of late. But when you have a quarterback who can barely go 60% on passing, I just don't know if you can rely on him. Now, Will Shepley, I hope I said his last name right, has been playing extremely well. But this is really a testimony to, I think, their quarterbacks, because Notre Dame hasn't had tremendous quarterback play either this season, and I really think this is a testament to which quarterback is going to step up in the light, make the plays that matter, and win the ball game for their team. And I just don't think DJ's the guy. I haven't believed in DJ really all year long. I haven't considered him to be as good as he's supposed to be. And I just don't see DJ and Clemson Tigers winning this one. Now, I could be completely wrong. I could be obliterated on Twitter, TikTok, and everywhere else for making that comment. But I'm sorry. I don't believe in Clemson this year. Granted, they have pulled out some good wins. I don't believe in the ACC this year. No matter how much I love Drake May as a quarterback and think he's probably the best quarterback, I don't think even if North Carolina was able to make it to the playoffs, they would be able to contain any of the other teams that are out there in the country. You know, defensively, these teams are extremely weak. You have quarterbacks who are extremely weak. They don't come to play. Granted, Clemson has one of the better defenses, so defensively they'll be able to contain and stay within their means. But when you start going into a shootout with an Ohio State team who has a good defense and great offense, you can't go in a shootout with them. It's not like, you know, playing a Wake Forest team whose defense can't contain anybody. Michigan versus Rutgers. Michigan 8-0, they're ranked number 5. You know, they need to win this game, yada, yada, yada. I mean, there's not much to the Michigan-Rutgers game, in my opinion. I'm honestly going to be skipping that game. I'm not too much worried about it. Then you have Wake Forest versus NC State. Both these teams are 2-loss. It's an 8 o'clock game. Wake Forest is actually the favorite. Now, that says Wake Forest is a -3. And then ESPN, their match predictor, had them at a 59% chance of winning for NC State. Now, I never look back into if Leary is back healthy again or if he is still hurt. Now, from what I'm looking, it says he's active. If he is active, this NC State team could have a chance to play good ball. If he gets hurt again, if he gets hurt in this game at any point, there's no chance for NC State. Sam Hartman, though, has struggled a little bit over the past couple weeks. Really, last week was his worst game that he's had all year long. But that's okay. You know, you're going to have bad games to be able to play good. And I think having that loss to Louisville last week really knocked the fire under Wake Forest. And I think Wake Forest is going to come out on top. I think that defense is finally going to step up and play some good ball. I think they're finally going to prove they're more than just an offense this game. And I don't think NC State has the offense to keep up. Something notable that happened yesterday I did not look back into was Oregon State loses to Washington, and that really tarnishes Oregon State's chances of having that really also tarnishes Oregon's chances of having a ranked game to end this season. But Washington will, I assume, go into the top 25 now because of this win. And that gives, I want to say that they play Oregon next. They do. So that will give Oregon a ranked game to add to their resume. And that adds another ranked win that Washington has. Now, you're going to have two extremely good quarterbacks playing this game. But with this ranked game that I'm assuming Washington will get ranked because of this, Oregon will now have beaten a number 12 team, a number 10 team, and probably a 23-24 team in Washington. Then Utah will be ranked, obviously, going into their the week after. And then if Oregon can manage somehow, I don't know who they play. Well, okay. So if they can manage somehow to just stay to 3 losses, they beat California, they beat Arizona State, then there's a chance Oregon State can manage to creep back into the top 25 and make that a ranked game for Oregon to improve their resume just a little bit. Because, in my opinion, it don't matter if it's a top 25, a top 10, or a top 15. If you win against any top 25 opponent, no matter where they are on that listing, it is still very impressive. It's still very good for your resume. And I would consider, okay, they deserve to be placed at such a high prestige. Now, I know it gets a little tricky when you start talking about, like BYU, for example, was a number 12 team in the country for a while. They beat a ranked Baylor team, but now they're no longer ranked and stuff like that. But Oregon then beat them. So do you consider that to be a ranked game? And in my opinion, at that point in the season, Baylor was the number 12 team in the country. And you really got to take it in as like a week-by-week basis, in my opinion. Who is the best team at this point, at this time in the country. Not where you think they're going to finish overall at the end of the year. Because, right now, Georgia's not the number 1 team in the country by no means. He is not the number 1 team in the country. Tennessee is. But if you was to say week 1, Tennessee was the best team in the country, that wouldn't make very much sense. Georgia's resume looked better at week 1, obviously, because they beat a ranked Oregon team. So I really just think when it comes to that, you had to count at that time in the season, they were probably the best because not a lot of other teams have shown the capability that they probably shown at that point in time. I know I rant a whole lot. I have a bad habit of doing that. But I do want to talk about the Heisman list real quick. So, my Heisman list I have contains Hendon Hooker, C.J. Stroud, Bo Nix, Max Duggan, and Drake May. Those are my 5 guys. I have moved it around a little bit. I still got Chase. I have top 10. I have Chase Brown, Blake Corum, Bryce Young, Will Sharpley. I have all them guys on there. But my top 5 really is Hendon Hooker, C.J. Stroud, Bo Nix, Max Duggan, and Drake May. Those are my top 5 guys, without a doubt. Now, I did see Drake May is 20-1 odds to win the Heisman. C.J. Stroud. So, the top 5 candidates. Right now, Hendon Hooker's in the lead, plus 100 odds. C.J. Stroud, plus 180. Bryce Young is 3 for them at plus 3,000. Caleb Williams at plus 1,200. And then Drake May at plus 2,000, followed by Blake Corum at plus 1,200. So Drake May, Drake May is on there, and I respect that. Caleb Williams is on there. I don't like that too much. But Bryce Young, I don't really see why he's there. I wouldn't put him there. I don't think he's played that good, but I'm not in the committee. I don't obviously see what I guess they're seeing. C.J. Stroud, obviously he's going to be in there, and Hendon Hooker, he's definitely going to be in there without a doubt. Outside of Bryce Young, really, and not having Max there, there's not much of big difference. Well, Bo Nix too. I honestly take Caleb Williams out and take Bryce Young out, and I'm putting Bo Nix and Max in there. Drake May, he's in there for them. So that's how ESPN's looking at it. I honestly wouldn't have Bryce Young or Caleb Williams in there. If you look at how Bo Nix has been playing, if you look at how Matt Dungo's been playing, I would not have neither one of them guys in there. But now, coaching carousel. This is probably some of the funnest stuff to talk about when it comes to football offseason. But it's starting sooner than expected, like it always does every single year. Auburn's fired their head coach, and now they're on the outlook for a new one. Auburn's situation is real nasty. All the rumors that were going around during the offseason, recruits decommitting, commits would switch. They'll put Auburn in the top 3 and then end up taking them out. There's a lot of stuff going around offseason for Auburn, and it was a really bad shake. They got put in a bad spot. They've not looked very good since probably 2017. And I also seen on the report, Cox, their best defensive player, and in my opinion, no, my bad, that was for Florida. That's another team to talk about. But anyways, Auburn let go of their coach, so now they're in look for a new head coach. And in my opinion, I don't know who could take or who even wants the Auburn job with everything that's going on in that situation. I wouldn't know who would want to take that job. Now, when it comes to the Florida situation, Napier, he's young. I'm not young. He's new to the program, so it's going to take some time. I think people are hard on him for no reason. Just like Brian Kelly, I think people are just too harsh just because those programs hold a whole lot of weight. And I don't think they've done as bad as a lot of people think. It's hard, especially in the SEC. You're a new coach, new program. It's going to be a little difficult. But with that being said, I do believe that Brian Kelly's had a pretty decent year, especially being at LSU and being the SEC. You're 6-2. You got your team ranked 10 in the country, despite you probably shouldn't be there with your 2 losses you have, but you're number 10 in the country. And when you put your team in the top 15 in your first year coaching, and you're able to bring in a transfer quarterback, he's able to play well, you got your receivers playing well, etc., you really can't ask for much. You cannot ask for much there. Anyways, so I want to talk about that Tennessee-Georgia game. And the key opponents that I feel that are going to end up winning this game. I love how good Hendon Hooker has played. I enjoy their running game. I like how Haiti has been able to play. Almost 1,000 yards, 14 touchdowns. Georgia's offense has been clicking. They have so many experienced weapons this year, so many good players to go to. But honestly, I think this is just going to come down to Georgia's run game. You got to look at Georgia's run game. You have McIntosh, you have Milton, you have Edwards, you have Robinson. I mean, you take McIntosh alone. McIntosh is receiving the ball and running the ball. You have Edwards, who's been able to pull away in the running back committee on being the best running back in the backfield. You have Robinson, who, if you can't get none of them three guys going, he's going to take the ball and carry it, and he's going to win you the game. I mean, all four of them guys has shown at every point this year that any one of them guys can be the workhorse back, and any one of them guys could really pull away from the game. And I just don't think Tennessee has that good of an offense. I don't think they're going to be able to contain these guys. I don't think they're going to be anything that they can handle. But with that being said, I do have Georgia winning this one, and I really like how Georgia's been able to play. And I just want to say thanks for everyone who decided to listen, tune in. Also, I want to state that I am on Twitter and TikTok and YouTube and Apple Podcasts and Spotify, all of it under the Sports Culture Podcast, and you can always find me there. Comment on my stuff. Feel free to message me directly. I'll always answer. And I like to just have conversations with how all y'all think about everything. But other than that, appreciate it. Thanks for listening.